Hi everyone. Welcome to the episode 3 of MOV Leaders Season 2. Happy Women's Day. Last episode, I'm sure you would have got some amazing tips from Bhavna how to pursue your career in real estate. Today, we are going to see such a strong topic. It's Women's Day, right? So, we are going to talk about how to build your self confidence and personal brand identity in workplace. To talk about that, we are going to invite a special guest, Nishtha. She is having a versatile experience. She started her career as an intern in marketing operations, moved to banking sector, and now manager strategic and operations. She has written a book called Awakening the Rainmaker. This talks about the diversity and equality in workplace. Here she called out important qualities for women such as self-confidence, personal branding, etc. What are we waiting for? Let's invite her to the show to get more from her. Let's invite Nishtha to the show.
Hi, Scindia. Thank you for having me over. And happy Women's Day to you and to all the fabulous men and women out there.
Happy Women's Day to you, to Nishtha, and to all the fabulous women there, and as well as for the men who are
Men.
celebrating women in their life. So, thank you for everyone to make this possible. Nishtha, while I was reading about your bio, such a versatile experience, and from all this experience, you did a commendable job in coming up with an amazing book. How this all happened? How could you imagine such a versatile career? Is it all happened on the go or it's a planned journey?
So I would say that it all happened on the go, but my motivation to start with has been my mother because I've grown up in a family where both my father and mother boast of long careers. And my mother was in the field of finance. That is where I got my inclination towards majoring in finance and starting my career with, marketing operations to start with, which is basically your equity markets. And after my MBA, I started with investment banking. Then I
Mhm.
thought, okay, let me broaden my horizon a little. And that's when I moved on to the field of strategy, working with the CEOs and founders across Asia. But Cynthia, across all these years, and this has been close to a decade of experience across countries and across organizations. But one thing always bothered me was lack of women leaders around me, and it made me wonder if I could become one. And in fact, the title of my book, Awakening the Rainmaker. So, this word rainmaker was added to my vocabulary when I was in investment banking.
Mhm.
Rainmakers are usually leaders who enjoy a lot of power and influence in the organization. And there were very limited women rainmakers around me, and I would always think, okay, where are the women? Because there were women with me in my college, I'm an MBA, during my university days, but why are they not reaching the topmost levels in organizations? And even if they are, most of them are handling, operational roles like legal, HR. There are not many in mainstream PNL roles. And then so this itch was always there that I want to do something about it, but back then I didn't know what to do about it, or how I can really contribute to solving this problem. And then in 2019, when I was pregnant, I did a lot of reading on how I can manage my career along with motherhood. And Cynthia, I was surprised to see that there is not much written for Indian women in particular, given our reality of, managing multiple stakeholders around us, your families, your in-laws. If you're working, then your organization, bosses, manager. And even if the things which are written, they talk about how a woman can multitask and what all she can do. There is not much on what other people need to do, how they can contribute, how organizations can be more conducive. And that is when the idea for the book came along, that I don't want to wait till I'm like 60 years of age to do something like this. I want to do it now. And that is what motivated me to write Awakening the Rainmaker as a practical handbook for women to continue with their careers uninterrupted by these personal milestones of marriage and motherhood, and also what people around them need to do so that they can pursue their passions. So that was the motivation for it.
Interesting, very interesting, Nishtha. I'm able to relate a lot because the reason for MOV leaders, I have told in multiple forums, is all because I had a lack of inspiration from fellow women colleagues or fellow women leaders. So I was seeking for inspirations. So I thought, okay, through this initiative, I will meet a lot of women inspiration who can inspire me. And if I broadcast that to the larger audience, everyone will get that same inspiration. So that's the motive behind that. The book is an amazing way of doing it. I'm inspired already, Nishtha. Thank you for that. So while going through your book, another striking factor, like 22% of females are only getting the self confidence as an important value in their life in the early age. I'm fortunate enough that I'm being in the 22%. I'm sure you are there also, because how you said your mother, for me also my mother gave me all this inherent values from the beginning, as well as my father. So not a lot of women are fortunate enough to get this as a value. Instead, I have seen personally in lot of in lot of community and society, the self confidence itself has been seen as attitude for women. If a woman is self confident, instead of saying assertive and self confident, it has always been termed as arrogant and self obsessed. So it's not an easy thing. This becomes a big hindrance for women today to get what they deserve in both professional and personal life. So, how do you? I know you are a very self-confident woman, and you have to share to the world and how it is important, and what are the hacks or tips for the women to pick up that quality, even though if they have not had this till now.
So you're right, Cynthia. And actually, even I was surprised to read it that only 22% women feel that. Most women feel that, the most commonly taught values to them are hard work hard work and respect, because that is how the society's way, most women feel that that's the stereotypical way, that they need to be hardworking when it comes to their personal life, and they need to exude that, be respectful towards other. Of course, those are two very important qualities, but self confidence is also very important, both in your personal and professional life. In your personal life, of course, if and especially for women, because we have such multiple choices in front of us, especially when we become mothers, whether we want to be a stay at home person, we want to work part time, or we want to pursue our careers full time. Whatever choice we take, first of all, we need to be able to demand respect for the choice we make. We need to respect our own contribution, be it at home or be it outside. So even for that, self confidence as a value is very important. And
True.
the second part of it, if you're in the professional world, this self confidence as a value determines your career trajectory to a great extent. If you are feeling diffident, for instance, you may always be questioning the recent promotion that you got, or you may feel that, oh, will I be able to manage this high visibility project, will I be able to manage this large team, whatever, if a new responsibility has been entrusted on you. And all these question marks, this leads to imposter syndrome in women, and they then, tend to overthink any opportunity that is given to them, and they're not able to utilize it to the maximum. And in my book also, I have covered to a large extent this particular point, because this affects the careers of most women. For instance, in the book, I have also interviewed women from different fields, just like, you're trying to bring forward stories of women so that they can inspire other women. I've tried to do the same in the book. I call it Rainmaker Speak. I've interviewed these rainmakers across industries. So Kalpana Murpharya, the former chairperson of JP Morgan, I interviewed her as well. And, she mentioned that when she started her career with ICICI Bank, she always felt that she's not very good at public speaking, and would
Mm.
avoid any opportunity of public speaking if it was presented to her. And during her initial years, one of her managers said, this great opportunity has come out, and you're a lawyer by qualification too. You should take this session. So she hesitatingly took it and realized that the session was a great success. And this gave her the confidence that, maybe somewhere I was just second guessing myself too much. I was not taking up the opportunities which were given to me before this. And this step of courage at her end gave her the confidence that she can take up public speaking. And you know today that she's a very sought after thought leader. She boasts of a career of over 40 years across Indian organizations and MNCs, has retired from such a senior post. All this happened because she was able to take that first step. So this is what I urge to all the women who struggle with self confidence, be it personally or professionally, that take that first step. Don't second guess yourself too much. With confidence, just take that first step, and whatever the result may be, it's like my assurance you will be able to handle it. It is not the end of the world. If it is a good experience, of course you are able to overcome whatever overthinking you were doing. And if nothing else, at least it gives you confidence. At least okay, these are my limits. You're able to expand your horizons and limits. So always with confidence, take that risk. Move ahead. Just take a chance on yourself.
Very, very true. So, I realized in my engineering that I wanted to be in a people oriented role because I love to interact with people. One thing I understood was like I had the stage fear. So I will never be able to, I'll be so good when I, practice in front of a mirror or practice with my friends or so and so. But the moment I get into the stage, I'll have that fear. So how I always know that I need to overcome that fear. Then only I'll be able to do what I wanted to do because I wanted to be in marketing. I know how public speaking is important. So what I did was I joined as a lecturer for 1 year, and I was taking classes for final year engineering students. So obviously, you are a lecturer; they need to listen to you, right? You have that safety cover, and I was so confident that if I 50% of them listen to me, then I'll be able to do it. So that almost like year I did that, and that mastered me. Like now, wherever I go, stage fear is not at all there in me. I just overcame that in a minute. Whenever I used to stand in that stage, it used to thud. The heart used to thud like anything. But now it's no more the fact. So as you rightly said, we need to push ourselves from our comfort zone sometimes to realize what is our potential and what worst can happen. You can have deliver a bad lecture or deliver a bad speech or make a bad session, but it's not going to cost anything. Rather, you will know where you need to improve, and that will help you to put your development path. So self confidence is first to believe in yourself even if you fail. It is better to fail in early stages so that you will learn a lot and grow faster. So afraid of failure and afraid of what others will think is a major roadblock for self confidence, according to me. And whatever you say, and from your interviews from the other women leaders, this is what is it like. First step, just go ahead. Nobody's watching you. Don't you just need to come out of it and just go and take the chance. So amazing. Thing, Nishtha. So Nishtha had a self confidence to write a book, right? She never thought that there's so many authors, so many seasoned authors, so much of books are there. So why, if I write, what will happen? What if this book fails? She never thought that. That's why she is here. So all of you need to take that first step. Thank you, Nishtha, for that inspiration. Another thing which I really noticed well, and again, I was personally able to connect is a lot of things you wrote about personal branding and personal identity. So this is again, we spoke in multiple sessions with a lot of guests. Unfortunately, in the Indian society, it comes like when a woman is trying to do a personal branding, it perceives as show off. It perceives as they perceive that as a woman is having too much of a confidence or an attitude. She is thinking too much of herself. So much of societal noise you will hear. But whoever just shut those noises and had the noise cancellation and move ahead and developed a personal identity for themselves are the people who are making their success path and inspiring others too. So again, you are a great example of someone who created a personal identity in a very short tenure. You have a decade of experience, but still you have a strong personal identity and strong personal branding for yourself. And I love to do that. And I always, concentrate on my personal brand image and identity. So why don't you give us some skills, top skills, or tips for the women who are watching this to pick up that personal identity and tell them the importance of developing this?
Sure, and you're very right, Cynthia. So personal branding and personal identity is very important for women today. And here the first practical tip that I would like to give, which is of course in the detailed in the book across interviews as well, is personal branding or personal identity can mean different thing to different people. It's not like a one size fit all approach here. For instance, a Chavi Mittal, who's a YouTuber, who's a content creator, for her personal branding and personal identity is more in terms of the number of followers she has, right?
Correct.
And for women who are in some other professions, for them personal branding or personal identity can be in terms of how well you are on the job. And that is what I to lay out steps objectively here, like for most women, for them to just implement it easily. First of all, define for yourself what is your metric of personal identity. If you are in a public speaking sort of a profession, if you are a social media person, an influencer, then it's the number of followers, it's how you're engaging with your audience that's important, like the comments, the likes, and those sort of things. If you're a professional person, let's say somebody who's in the field of finance, if you're a lawyer, if you're in the field of science, technology, engineering, maths, etc., for you your personal branding or your identity is in terms of how strongly do you have the command of your work. So to give you an example here, for instance, I interviewed Renu Sood Karnad, who is the managing director for HDFC Limited. And she mentioned that, often, like you also said, that there are those stereotypes around women, or that there's that extra noise around them. And she said, Nishtha, if a woman is able to establish a command and superiority on her work, then people around her don't question her because of her gender, or they don't, question her expertise, or they don't question her decision in the subject matter of her expertise. It's because they can see that she has a strong hold on her work. So to develop a personal brand, the first step is to have a strong command on your work. Like, be confident, be thorough of whatever you're doing. Another example I'll give here is of Zia Modi, who has been the most powerful woman in India for over a decade, and is amongst the most renowned corporate lawyers our country has produced. And when she started her career, India, back in the 80s as a lawyer, she said, and she's the daughter of the Attorney General of India, Soli Sorabji. And despite that, she said that I could see that question mark on people's faces, that why take a chance on her? She's just a young girl who's starting in the field of law. And back then in the courtroom, there were hardly one or two women. And Zia said, Nishtha, I used to work so hard. If a male lawyer was spending, let's say, 2 hours on a particular brief, I would spend 5 hours because I just couldn't afford to look stupid. I would be very thorough with my work. So the first step is be thorough with your work. People should respect you for your work. They should see that you have a strong command on your subject matter. That is one. Now, and the second step here is what you also mentioned, is cut out the noise. There would be all these naysayers around you, there would be noise around you. You will be judged because of certain stereotypes that people hold of you. For instance, networking is looked at as an important part to build a personal brand today. You have to, maybe wine and dine your clients. But women at times feel that it's not naturally easy for them, especially in a country like India. Like, networking comes more naturally to men, but women have that challenge. They face those challenges when it comes to networking. Now, here again, it's not necessary that networking becomes a stumbling block in your career, or it limits your career in terms of your promotion or career trajectory. There are ways for you to be assertive and not let it come in your way. So for instance, when I interviewed Reba Chako, who's another renowned corporate lawyer, she mentioned that, Nishtha, I take the matter of my safety and security very seriously. And if I'm not comfortable with some dinner meetings, I suggest, okay, we can have some office meeting, lunch meeting, or a coffee meeting. The clients which are comfortable with my suggestions, of course, stick with me. The clients who are not, they move on, and I'm fine with it. I don't really go into that victim sort of a loop because of this. But whosoever sticks with me, whosoever shows that confidence in me, I give in my 100%. So, to develop your personal brand, the second most important thing is that define your priorities and assertively stick to them. Don't let it hinder your professional journey just because you prioritize your safety. And whosoever shows confidence in you, given your 100% in that particular field, this will make sure that people look out at you as somebody who's thorough with your work, who knows what's important for you, what's not, who knows how to prioritize, and who knows that whosoever is showing confidence in your capabilities, in your performance, that as a professional you are giving in your 100%. That will develop your personal brand irrespective of the field you're in. So in a nutshell, what I said is that, of course, first of all, know how in your particular field of work, what is how do you want to define personal brand for you? Is it in terms of followers? Is it in terms of the how you're performing on the projects that you're in? So first of all, define that. Second, develop a strong command on your subject matter so that people know that you know your subject in and out, and they can't question you for reasons like gender. Thirdly, of course, know how to prioritize. Know that, okay, if my safety and security is foremost, be assertive about these things. Don't let people push you down because of these wrong reasons. And lastly, of course, whosoever shows faith and trust in your performance and capabilities, given your 100% there. That way people know that she means business. She knows what she wants to do, and she's going to give in her 100%.
Very true, Nishtha. Very well said. So you quoted lot of examples from your book and the way you interviewed people. I wanted to take your example. So how you developed personal identity? What are your metrics, Nishtha?
So I think the way I develop personal identity is, of course, to start with, I was always very driven that I need to be very thorough with whatever thing I take on. Like when I entered the field of strategy, working with CEOs and founders can get very tough as well. But I always knew that I would always think from the other person's perspective too. That usually, CEOs and founders, they may not be they're not into very long emails, and they would want somebody in the team who can really sort of think like them, even before they know it, is able to give them relevant data and information about their business. So as I mentioned, I always the first step for me was always to be clear on what are the key performance metrics for whatever I am taking on, and I made sure that I honed myself on those metrics so that I perform well. And then next on, when I, for instance, took up writing this book, now this is I'm not an author. It's not like it was my dream to become an author. It just so happened that I ended up writing this book. So even for the book, again here, Scindia, in terms of personal identity, getting all these interviews, for instance, and these are powerful women, and it's not like I knew them before writing this book. I just sent out with confidence those cold emails, like we talked about self confidence as well, right? So I took that step. Okay, what worse can happen? Maybe they will ignore my email. Maybe they'll say a no, but I took that chance that let me at least send out those emails. And let me at least send out those emails, and it worked very well. I got all these women were gracious enough to give these very important inputs for the book, which will hopefully help millions of women out there to continue with their careers as well. And here again, when it came to then making a personal brand for myself, I made sure that I was staying authentic to my purpose. I think that's again very important, that you're authentic to your purpose, and you're able to do justice to you as a person as well, and what you want to do, because then that confidence shows in your work as well. And then people around you can actually see that yeah, she knows what she's doing. So I just kept these things in mind and continued with my journey of developing a personal identity for myself.
All the best for your book, Nishra. So, in the overall, time and again, whenever I meet leaders like you, I always get this feeling the power of communities. So, we lift each other through communities, we inspire each other through communities. So, the one stereotype or myth I like to break with this conversation is community is not always about you seeking something. It is also about you giving back. See, somebody has given Nishtha back the interview, right, in the form of interview, some insights. She is giving back to the society by compiling it to a book. And I'm trying to bring in amazing leaders like Nishtha for all of you to draw inspiration from. So, all of you need to come together to learn from each other, to uplift each other. That's the key for women equality to prevail in workplace and in society. So that's the key motto. And one thing I took as a leaf of success from whatever Nishtha told, see, take your self confidence or take your personal identity. All this is only possible when you are skilled, when you are hone your skills. So first and foremost, I always repeat this in multiple forums. You need to understand what you want, which is the right field for you. You love what, you love doing what. So then you list out, like, I know I love doing marketing, she knows she love numbers. So then we understood that, okay, what is already there as a natural skill for us, what we need to acquire as skills. For me, okay, public speaking was a hurdle, communication was a hurdle, I practiced and still I'm practicing. So that's how you need to have a self awareness first, and that will give you a lot of self confidence to pursue your career path. And from then, creating your personal identity is all about how much you are loving yourself, how you wanted to see yourself. That's how I do. So how Cynthia wants to see herself. I like Cynthia doing a podcast, I like Cynthia helping fellow women, I like Cynthia getting awards, I like Cynthia getting promotions. So then, for that, what's India need to do? That's how your personal identity evolve, according to me. These self confidence and personal identity, and of course the basics of skills, will take you across when you learn to cut down the surrounding noises and stereotypes which you have. And I'm sure people like Nishtha and the books will also bring a lot of awareness for the society to embrace this change in the society. So we women need to be ready to embrace the change, amazing change the world is going to bring to us. And I'm sure in the future, it's always in the Women's Day. My vision is always, when there is no diversity initiative, when there is no separate community for the women required, when there is no separate forum required like this, that's the day we have achieved what we are. It should not be any more special, right? It should be already happening. So that's where we all are marching towards. And I want all of you to come together and have that commitment and the confidence in yourselves to achieve this greater heights. Over to you, Nishtha.
No, that's beautifully summarized, Cynthia. Again, I'll just end it with like one line: "Be the change you want to see in the world." Like you're doing with these interviews, and I did with my book. All the best to all the women out there, for them to get the confidence, to have the courage, to be the change they want to see in their lives and in those around them.
Thank you, Nishtha, for sharing wonderful thoughts and sharing your valuable time with us. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the show. Until I meet you again with one another exciting guest and valuable pointers for you to take home, this is Scindia signing off from all of you. Thank you.